Hello, my name is Steven, and welcome to my first Photoshop tutorial. Now in this tutorial I will be showing you the basics of Photoshop, your most important tools, and just kind of how to get started if this is your first time using Photoshop. So let's begin. First of all, we want to come over here to File, New, or Control N or Command N depending on if you're on PC or Mac, and this will bring up your new file dialog box. The first step is to name your picture. So let's call this one Test. For the preset, you're going to be able to choose different sizes and resolution depending on what you want to use. So there's paper, there's photo, there's web, there's all different presets that are default. Or you can choose custom. And in custom, you can choose your own width using pixels or inches, and your resolution and your mode and your background and all that. For now, we'll start with a 1080p document, which is 1920 by 1080 pixels. The resolution will be set at 300, which is a standard for web pictures and different images you see on the internet. For the color mode, if we're going to be using it on the web, you want to stick with RGB. If you're going to be using it for printing, you can use CMYK. The grayscale is for making black and white images, and the other two we won't use as much, but we'll get into later. You want to leave this at 8-bit because if you change it, it will make the image better, but the file size will be huge and you won't really see a difference on your standard screens. For the background, you can make it white or use your background color, which corresponds to the color over here, the one behind, which is currently white, so it wouldn't matter if we did white or background color. Or you can do transparent, which is for making PNGs or images without a background. So this all looks good right here. Let's push OK. Now we have our new document open. Now let's go over some of the most important panels you'll be using and just some of the most important things you'll be doing with them. The most important panel you'll be using is the Layers panel. The Layers panel is where you control the different objects you see in your picture and what layer they're on, whether they're in the foreground or the background. This is where you can control them, where you can control them. For now, we just have a background layer which is currently locked. That way, if we use the pointer tool and click, nothing will happen. We can't move it around. See, as Photoshop tells us, we can't move it around. If we want to make a new layer, down here at the bottom there's make a new layer, and now we have a new layer. And if we add another one, now you can organize these layers. So whichever layer you have, you can actually add a picture or a selection or color or anything to that, and you can move it around anywhere on the screen. And if you organize these layers, it'll organize whether it's in front or in back of that layer. And then you have all of your different tools for each one of the layers. If you double click on it, you have your properties, which we'll get into later. This is just to show the different styles you have for your layers. The next most important panel is going to be your history. Now you can see we've already done quite a bit in this document, and we have all these different steps we've gone through. So say I want to go back to when we first opened the image. You just click on the first one and you're back to your original state. Now it hasn't deleted all these other steps, it's just going through the history. So if I want to go back to a certain step, I go there. If you want to add a snapshot, you can add a snapshot, and now it'll save the current state as the first step. So you can go back to the original opening or the snapshot. That way, if you're going along and you do something, you mess up, and then you do a few more steps after that, you can still go back to that step where you messed up, fix it, and then continue with what you were doing. So all that is actually hidden inside this icon over here. Now all these panels you see can be pulled out and moved wherever you want on the screen. If you want them to be icons, such as these two right here, you click on this double arrow right here, and that'll convert them to icons. And from there, you can actually drag them around, and you'll see little blue lines and blue boxes appear when you drag them around here. If you see a blue line, it'll snap it to that area and add it to this box. That way, when you click on it, it'll maximize that icon so you can use the different layers. If you don't like them being icons and you want them back to windows, you simply drag it back out, click on the arrow, and drag it back in. Now you may notice that there's boxes like this. What that'll do is take these tabs and add them to that box. So now you see all the tabs are inside that box. If you want to drag the tab out, you simply click and drag it out. And you can add tabs, you can remove tabs, you can do whatever you want. And this way, we can go back to the way we had it. Now if there's a window out here that you don't see that you want to use, you simply go up here to Window, and you have all the panels that Photoshop offers. Some of these are actually visible, such as History, which I've went over just a few minutes ago. Right here, it's just minimized. So if I maximize it and go back to Window, you now see that it's checked. The check mark just means that it is in full view and you can see all the options. If it's unchecked, it may still be out here, it's just not visible, it's in icon form. The best way to make one visible is to find it in here and just click on it and it'll open it up. That is how you organize windows. Now, when you work with your document, you have tools, which are over here. Each tool has its own property. The properties appear up here on this bar right here. And this bar right here shows all the properties, such as if you click on a selection tool, you could adjust the feather, which will make the edges more soft, or a different style. All these properties will be specific to the tool you use, and the way you activate them is you click on the tool you want to use. You may notice that some of them have a little triangle here in the corner. What that means is that there are other tools that are similar to that. The way you open them is you click on the item, hold down, and then you can actually drag out and find the one you want, like the eclipse tool or the ellipse tool. We'll let go, and now we have that tool, and we can use it wherever we want. So that is how you change your tools and you use your different tools. If you want to change the colors you'll be using in the different styles we use, those are down here and over here. For the most part, I use them down here. You click on a box, and now you have your color picker. Inside your color picker, you can be specific with your RGB values, your red, green, blue values, or even your CMYK if you're working with prints. If you have a web code, such as a background color or an image color you found on the internet, there's usually a code that you can enter in here, and that will give you a custom color that is exactly the same as the one you saw on the web. And if you push OK, it'll add that to your foreground color. And the same goes for if you click on the background color. If you want them switched, there's a little arrow right here, and that will switch the foreground and background color. If you want to go back to the default black and white, you simply click on the default button. And that will give you your basic colors for your styles, your adjustments, your filling, everything that you're going to use in the later tutorials that I show. For the most part, that is your basic layout of Photoshop and where everything is. In tutorials I will make in the future, we'll go over certain styles, different editing techniques, and what different tools do. But for now, this is your basic Photoshop, and that is how you get started. Thank you for watching. Bye.